So what's up? It's your boy Money Mark coming at you guys in another edition of Secret Saturdays. What is good? It's 2022. We in here. And it's another year for sneakers, another year for releases, another year for me being in your face on another beautiful and wonderful Saturday. Of course, if you're in the Midwest, it's cold as you know what out here. It's balls. I'm just gonna say it's cold as balls out here, but it is what it is. Here, I am here to warm up your YouTube screens with another edition of Sneaker Saturday. So let's get to it. So I thought about, I've been gone for a little bit, and some of you guys have been very faithful, have given me a lot of views, and I definitely appreciate you guys tuning in with me. So I was thinking, what can I do to prepare y'all for just waiting patiently, just patiently waiting for a tremendous, just patiently waiting. What can I do for you guys? And I thought about it, and I was like, the biggest treat I can give you guys is maybe just give you guys some information. Just some good old-fashioned American information. So I thought about it, and I was like, hey, let's do a continuation. And I said I owed you guys a continuation to the Fakes How to Avoid Them series. I'm gonna dub this not necessarily fakes. It's gonna be like it's gonna be a second installment of it, but it's gonna be what I dubbed Avoid Getting Scammed, or Don't Get Scammed. There you go. Don't get scammed. Now, in thinking about this, we're going to tackle this in two prongs. We're going to look at two different avenues for scam and scammers exist, essentially. And I just wanted to kind of just highlight some of these things in general. But first, what I'd like to do is kind of set the table. So just setting the table and just getting right into it. If you've noticed, especially in the last couple of months before the new year and definitely in the new year, there have been a lot of just crazy releases. And I'm just being honest, there's release after release after release coming out, and just images that are dropping. It looks like it's gonna be a super dope year for sneakers. Sneakers in general Nike in general has just stepped its game up, and it's forcing the rest of the market to step its game up as well. So if you're into sneakers, now is the best time to cop. There's so many dope colorways, so many dope editions, so many dope collaborations that are set to go out. If I could just mention one right now, the Louis Vuitton collaboration with the Air Force Ones. That right there looks ridiculous. It just looks ridiculous. It just looks like one of those shoes that you saw at the gas station that was like a concept bootleg shoe, but now it's real. We can actually put our hands on it, like an authentic, clear Air Force One. Or remember those bootleg money Air Force Ones that everybody was rocking. But if Nike actually released those joints would probably been fire. Well, that's what this is. That's what the Louis Vuitton Air Force One collection is. It's just a thing that we didn't think would ever exist, but exists now. So there's all these crazy drops, and towards the end of last year, there was all these crazy drops. But one thing I know that you know, that I know that you know, is that it was damn near impossible to get any of them. If you guys were a part of that Cool Gray fiasco, I'm pretty sure you know. Now, a lot of you were able to get them, but a lot of you weren't. And it just is what it is. And it's just what we're dealing with in the current environment. It is everything going up on a raffle. And, only the greatest bot survives. And now, it's even to the point where now if you buy a bot, right? If you were to go out there and purchase a bot and jump into the bot game, you have to spend, $1,000 to $1,500 or $2,000 just to necessarily get into the game, because now the little BS bots are just not working. You're just gonna get beat out by the stronger, more expensive bots. So this is becoming a crazy occurrence in sneaker culture. And I think what I covered in the last video is that this is a thing that's happening that was not necessarily intended to happen. Now, beforehand, when sneaker culture and buying sneakers were a big commodity or a big thing, one of the things about buying sneakers was the fact that it was about who you knew. The people who had the best relationships, who knew the vendors, who knew the managers at the Foot Lockers or whatever the case may be, people who had relationships with Nike in general, or who had a Nike account, or so on and so forth, those individuals were the people who are winning in sneaker culture, essentially. The individuals who are willing to wait in line, willing to camp out and make sure they get in line, those individuals were winning as well. Nowadays, with Nike and the rest of the sneaker companies coming together and just outfitting it in the current culture into the digital age, and B, trying to stop a lot of that quote unquote some of that unfair practice, I guess someone would say, in the past, and trying to create an environment where anybody can go grab a sneaker. What has happened is they pushed us into into the digital age. Now, what I think a lot of these sneaker companies may not have known, or may have known, who knows, is that they may not have anticipated hype culture. While everybody wants to be a hype commodity, not everyone knows when it's going to hit, because no one decides when these things happen. Like, you could create algorithms or whatever to try to go viral or try to make things hit, but you never know what's going to be a thing. And you never know when someone influential is going to wear your stuff. You never know when the market will explode. Now, some of you may look at this, and sneaker costs have always been dope. Sneakers have always been X, Y, and Z. But yeah, but nonetheless, it's hard for you to anticipate that sneakers will become commodities. And that is what's happening now. Sneakers are essentially commodities. People are doing investment episodes on what sneaker is a good investment. That's what's happening with sneakers. And with that, hype culture has made these things almost impossible to get. And this is what essentially this is the environment that we're essentially walking into. So with that, this is just kind of setting the tone for what's happening. Now, because we understand what's happening, we understand that there's a huge influx of UAs coming into the ecosystem, and that's what the last episode is about. This episode, essentially, I want to just kind of talk about what is happening, what certain frustrations is forcing some retailers or buyers to go ahead and do. And in these next, I'm going to give you two pro tips to watch out for, or to just at least pay attention to. So yeah, let's get it. Okay, so jumping into it, pro tip number one. Now, like I said earlier, like, there's many of us who are getting fed and sick and tired of having to jump in a raffle to try to get our favorite sneaker. Because of that, there's many alternatives that people are running and turning to try to figure out a way to kind of get their hands on that heat that they're trying to get their hands on. Because, there's nothing like when you look into your phone, you put in your information, and then didn't get it. I felt it, you felt it.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change.
Right, exactly. It's just not right. It's not right. When that happens to you, it's just not right. You get emotional. I get in my feels. I'm pretty sure you get in your feels whenever that happens. And this is a thing that continuously keeps happening. So with that, oftentimes you see a lot of individuals looking towards our determined alternative means. Now, one of the things I would like to speak on is alternative websites. So nowadays, a lot of alternative websites and groups have come into the ecosystem. There's a lot of these individual groups, essentially, that different individual applications that have come out. Me personally, I don't necessarily like to shit on things unless I've done complete and thorough research. But what I'll say to you is that some of these other groups, they're offering awesome results. But when you get into the nitty-gritty of things, they're not necessarily scams. It's just the necessary systems that are in play essentially work against you. There's a lot of these so-called sneaker groups that are out here that are guaranteeing a sneaker community that is, I guess, basically a pledge of sorts, or like an honor system to not do resale or have resale practices, essentially. The overall issue with those groups is this: you have to pay to get in those groups. Essentially, you're paying a monthly fee to jump into these sneaker groups. Now, primarily, there have been some good results essentially in that ecosystem. The overall issue as well is that you have to think about is that you're paying an overall price essentially to jump into these groups, to be a part of that ecosystem essentially. A monthly cost that you're paying essentially to be a part of it. And you may not necessarily be able to, you're still in that group dealing with individuals. Now, there's an overall honor system that states that, gouging prices are not going to happen. But what really controls are in these groups to stop that? I'm not going to necessarily name some of these individual groups by name, essentially, because I don't have the full details of these. But if you are part of the ecosystem, if you've been purchasing sneakers, if you even look on sneakers on the internet or online, 9 times out of 10, an advertisement for one of these groups has been pushed into your face, and you've thought about possibly joining these memberships. Now, at the end of the day, guys, do what you do. If you think that joining in one of these groups might be essentially a good benefit for you, then go right ahead. But one of the things I would say is this: necessarily gauge your cost. If you're willing to pay a membership fee to have access to a community that may or may not price gouge you, well, there you go. Understand though that you might be taking a risk. Understand that you're dealing with individuals, and individuals have a tendency to be individuals. There's another sneaker app that I'm going to speak about because I have personal experience with that sneaker app, and that sneaker app, of course, is Lace, L-A-C-D. Now, Lace is a very unique sneaker app. When looking at Lace, essentially, and mind you, when I say that, I know that the beginning of this video is named "Don't Get Scammed," and I'm not necessarily saying that the Lace application or the Lace sneaker group is a scam. I'm just more so just saying that it can lead to some false expectations if you're not fully aware of what's going on in the application. Lace is a live action auction-based application. That's what it is. And Lace does not necessarily promise that it's anything more but that. Lace does, however, have a giveaway function that happens in that application as well. And the giveaways are 9 times out of 10 super hype releases. I think the last giveaway that I participated in was, of course, the Origin Story Jordan 1s. If you don't know about the Origin Story Jordan 1s, I put a little, there should be a thing that's happening right now that you're seeing it. The Origin Story Jordan 1s essentially are the Spider-Verse Jordan 1s, essentially. They have kind of that cool red kind of Spider-Man like material on it. The thing that made me really want those shoes is, of course, that sky blue gum bottom. Super dope. But you know me, if you watch this, you know those are things I get excited for. But yeah, it had that dumb go bottom. And I also participated in the off-white dunks. Now, when you sign on to the application, of course, it asks you for your size, your address, and so on and so forth. And I think it even asks for your Instagram. But when jumping in the app, essentially, it is exactly what it says it is. It is an online live auction. The way you work the application is you put in money to get bids, and those bids equal a cent. And you're tossed into a live auction. I think I spent $15, I believe, on 20 bids, essentially. So I spent $15 on 20 cents, essentially. That's what it is. Now, one of the things about it is, one of the reasons why I did it, it was kind of fun. It was kind of fun participating in a live auction. I work in sales when I'm not doing this. So participating in, I'm kind of a thrill seeker in sorts. So it was fun to take part in it. But when I realized, after I was done and my 20 bits were done, I realized, okay, well, this is what it is. Doing further research on it, you kind of realize that the bots have essentially, or it has been suspected to make it into that arena, essentially. When looking at it, I realized that once we got to the final bids, it's always on like a lag action that kind of happens. Almost kind of like when you purchase tickets to your favorite festival, your Lollapalooza, Rolling Loud, or whatever, where you get that weird little lag that's like, wait, hold on, what's going on? And it's like, oh, wait a minute. I might have to have several computers or a bot to necessarily get this done. Looking at reviews, I've seen a couple of reviews where individuals were complaining that they've spent almost $150 on tokens and still no shoes that they were trying to get. So this is some of the things that essentially you should not necessarily avoid, but pay attention to. That's basically the pro tips on these websites. Because some of these websites, what they do is they give, because that's what good marketing is, they give this promise that this is the place where you can go get the shoes of your wildest dreams. And then you jump into the auction, and sometimes it doesn't happen. And when you end up paying essentially close to $1,000 on tokens, well, you might as well kind of go on StockX and buy those shoes outright, right? Okay, so pro tip number 2, beware of Facebook. Well, beware of social media in general. Now, of course, like I said to you, of course, the growing environment has made a lot of us would-be consumers look towards other avenues to try to ensure that we get that heat. And one of the things that have started to see a very big uptake, a very big boom, is social media groups. Now, social media groups, One thing I'll say about social media groups is that social media groups are an awesome thing, but social media groups oftentimes depend on people. And people have a tendency to be not awesome. You guessed it, not awesome. Now, you're probably thinking, well, what do you mean? Well, so, for instance, my wife is currently a part of a Facebook group for the Houses Association that we live in. It's a great group. It gives a lot of information. It kind of let me know that the COVID testing site down the street takes forever to give you your results, which made me go to Walgreens instead of an appointment at Walgreens. Now that is just drive through. You kind of drive through, you pull up, do your thing, you're good. And it's seamless, easy. If it takes you 5 days to get your results, it's kind of like, yeah. Well, those are some of the benefits that can come out of certain communities, because of course there's a certain percentage of that community that's honestly there for what that community is for. Now, there's a certain percentage of any online community that's there just to fuck around. And that, my friend, is definitely apparent when you're dealing with sneakers. Now, Facebook groups. I'm a part of a couple Facebook groups. I'm a part of a local beater group that is in the Illinois area, because that, from the Chicagoland area. I mean, this is a Florida cap, but I mean, I got a lot of Chicago stuff out here. But there's a local beaters group in the area that I'm a part of. Haven't really copied anything from there yet. There is a big feet or 13 and up group that I'm a part of because I have huge feet. But you know what that means. Yeah. Anyways, I'm part of a Bigfoot group, and I believe that's it. I think there's maybe a couple of the groups that I might be a part of, essentially, mainly to promote this podcast. But there's a lot of these groups that I'm a part of. One of the great things about these groups is that these groups often offer instant legit checks. The community is very active, and you're gonna get a lot of posts, and you're gonna see a lot of different things. I've seen a lot of different deals that have posted on there. The overall thing about these Facebook groups, guys, is that you're gonna get your fuckery. And there is definitely fuckery in these groups. There's definitely individuals who are there, honestly, just to get you, just to scam you. And you see the stories posted on those very said groups all the time. People get shouted out all the time in the wrong way for scamming all the times in these groups. And you wonder, well, these are the groups and what's going on, and why would people do that? Well, people will do that because it's very easy to close down your Facebook profile after you've gotten someone for $1,000 and start a new one. Start on one under another name, starting on one under another picture. You can constantly make new Facebook profiles and continue to scam people, and it just is what it is. And there's really not too much that can do to stop you. You can get your buddies in on it. You can do it too. If I have a pair of UA off-whites and I'm selling it to you for off-white prices, resale prices, oftentimes Facebook community people in some of these groups, some members in these groups are so desperate that they, where? Okay, cool. Here, I'll give you $400 for a pair of off-whites that are selling for $1,000, and I'm not gonna ask any questions, even though probably I should ask questions because he could just sell those for $1,000, but I guess he just wants to sell it to me for $400 because we're buds. You get the picture. But these are some of the things that are happening. And guys, I just want you to say is that, look, always, now I'm gonna have actually specific pro tips for this. Guys, always, number one, when dealing with these Facebook groups, number one, ask for additional pictures. The more pictures, the better. The more pictures that you receive, the better you are. And 9 times out of 10, these Facebook groups are not like eBay. They're not like Lace. They're not like these other things where they're here today, gone tomorrow. 9 times out of 10, that sneaker might still be there. And it's worth it for you to do your due diligence to figure out what's going on. Trust me, the other people that he's telling you that are trying to buy this sneaker are asking him for pictures or her for pictures too. Ask for pictures, ask for additional pictures. And do not be afraid once you have those pictures to post those same pictures in the same Facebook group and says, hey, legit check. Pro tip number 2, legit check. Or pro tip number 2 under pro tip, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. The next tip, legit check. Ask for legit checks. That community is a community based upon your peers to ask questions, to figure things out. It is like you're another set of eyes and another Google search. Drop them pictures, drop them pictures in that group, boy, and ask for a legit check. And trust me, people are excited to legit check. They want to legit check. And even if some of those people may be a little overzealous and may say something is fake or not, do your own legit checks as well. Google it, because at the end of the day, when you have the opinions of a whole group on top of whatever Google's showing you, 9 times out of 10, you'll probably make a better choice of whatever sneaker that you're trying to cop. So guys, don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Legit check. You get mad, it is what it is. What you mad about? You got fake goods? Huh? That's what you gotta do. Overall, guys, when looking at these Facebook groups, when you're looking at social media, definitely be wary of these Facebook. Definitely make sure that you do your due diligence in these Facebook groups, but definitely due diligence on social media in general. There's a lot of resellers. There's a lot of guys on there who are the guy, sneakers for the low. I got the sneakers. I stay with the sneakers, and they'll take all types of cool pictures with cool outfits that with apparel that's like super hard to get, and they're gonna be standing next to Lambos, and you're gonna be like, that guy could get me the sneaker I want. That guy right there, and you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna buy that sneaker. And then it's gonna be like, what happened? It's happened to me. It happens to a lot of individuals on there, online as well. So don't be ashamed that it happens. But this is the thing, guys. There are no shortcuts. There's no shortcuts in sneakers. There's no shortcuts in the industry. Essentially, this is still an industry of who you know. And any individual you see doing shortcuts, any individuals who all of a sudden out of nowhere just have sneakers, you know what it is. You know what's going on. I would like to end this podcast with a shout out to an individual that I've been seeing doing his thing for a while. My man Donnell Harris over there at Crown Kicks. Crown Kicks is KRWN Kicks. I hope I have the W here somewhere. Check my man out. He's definitely on Facebook. He definitely does his thing. I've been watching him do his thing since I was in college, and he's built, because that's what it takes, guys. It takes for you to build. You're going to build. If you look at the views on my channel views are a little small, but I am building. I am getting better, and the views will definitely grow. The cameras will get better, and then I might have streamers or lightsabers or Mortal Kombat dancers or whatever. I'll have some stuff. I have some stuff, and you guys will be like, oh man, I remember that guy. He was, yeah. So guys, definitely, it takes time to build in this industry. It is what it is. And we're gonna, until, we decide to just stop supporting Nike and maybe go over to Diadora or Adidas or Reebok. This is probably gonna be the environment we're in. So guys, I just wanted to give you this little tidbit of information to make sure that you guys are not getting taken advantage of out here in these streets. This is your boy Money Mark coming at you guys in another edition of Secret Saturdays. Peace.